Hello, YouTube. This is just me, and this particular topic is very close to home. So I want to tread as lightly as possible, but I do hope you hear me out and, let me know what you think. I'm going to say that off the bat because I'm really giving you an insight on things that I do behind this channel. Okay? So I've seen over the past week or so, the word Akata has been trending because some lady I've never heard of. I doubt the people that are talking about her have heard of. But she has a blue check on Twitter. So she matters to some degree. She said this word on Twitter, and people are calling her out as well as the use of it against Black Americans. Now, as a Black American, I don't know the full meaning of this word. I've never understood it to be something positive, but I have no relation to it. Ironically enough, I'm a Pan-Africanist and they say we have no relation to Africa. But so many are taking some relation to this A word, we'll call it. And at the same time, we have such, I don't want to say rich, but an illustrious history with the N-word and what it's meant for our well-being, our livelihood. And it's something you can hear in daily conversation. You can hear it when you turn on the radio, when you turn on television. You can see it on Twitter. So many of the things I see trending start with N-words, such and such and such. And while I'm on that topic, let's do a thought experiment really quick. And this isn't the main point of my video. I'm going to get a lot deeper than this, but we're just starting out. So, this is something I've done in real life. Start a sentence or fill in the blanks. N-words, blank, blank, blank. Take a moment to think on that. And for me, I've never followed it with anything positive. N-words ain't S. N-words don't this and that. N-word, it's always something degrading us and who we are, especially as Black men. More often than not, it refers to Black men. So just keeping that in mind. Personally, I've grown beyond it. I did use it in my youth, but I don't think I ever saw myself as that. And eventually it came to a point where, I just decided I'm not going to use it anymore. And even further, I'm very interested in the use of language. And now we're really getting into the crux of the conversation. I'm really interested in the use of language and words, exactly what they mean, how we assign them. Because in a lot of ways, that really, it says what your culture is, For an example, and maybe I'll put a clip in here, but there's a particular ethnic group out of Namibia. And I think it's the Himba people. Some researchers visited them and they did an experiment where they showed an arrangement of circles, colored circles, but they were in a circle, the shape of a circle, right? And all of these circles were colored blue or green. And the experiment was for them to point out exactly which one is different from the other. Now, for us, and the language and culture that we've come up in, blue has a very particular color, green has a particular color. So they started out showing what we understand as blue and green. And whenever they showed it, they couldn't see the difference. They weren't able to point out exactly which one is different. And you know, you want to think, how do you not see that? How do you not understand that this one is different from that one? Next, they showed them another arrangement of circles, and these were all green. So green that for us, it's extremely difficult to perceive exactly which one is different, but they identified the one that was off right away. And the reason for that is because the way that they assign and understand color is completely different from us. It's not so much a blue versus green, but I would say a spectrum of the two. And they understood that this one particular color was extremely different from the other, right? Now, why am I saying all this? Well, like, where am I going? Because, like I say, I really am getting a bit deeper into things that I normally wouldn't talk about here. Clearly, what they discovered from that study is that words have meaning. Words and how we assign them, they change our perception of reality. Okay? So what we may understand as one thing doesn't necessarily mean the same for others. And I'm not saying that is the case for the A word, Akata, but it could be. And even further, knowing that we have this history with the N word, right? Knowing exactly what it's meant over centuries, and at the same time being bold enough and audacious enough to say that we've somehow reclaimed it, that we've made it ours. The word has existed. If you're 40 years old, let's say you're 40 years old, it has 10 times your lifetime, steeped in hatred, steeped in brutality and murder. And we somehow think, some of us, that we can reclaim that over the span of maybe 50 years. It's very bold to me. But beyond that, when you really look at the Black American lexicon, which is a fancy word of just saying, the words that we use and how we've assigned them, there's a lot of worrisome terms. For example, if someone is doing something that would be deemed treacherous to our race and our lineage, they would be called a coon, or maybe even a Sambo. Where's the word that affirms those that are being stead right and dedicated to us? Another example, just in a verbal sense, you may say they're tap dancing or they're going for butter biscuits. What do we say for those that aren't? Even further, because we are in the 21st century, so the kids, they've come up with all kind of lingo. A woman who's loose may be called a thought. What do we call the woman that is virtuous, that is faithful, and preserves herself for her particular boyfriend or husband? We don't have these words. And the fact that we've been so creative in words that demean each other, words that put each other down, for me, it really brings up the question, okay, this whole conversation on Akata is happening, but have we actually stopped to examine ourselves and the language that we are using amongst one another? And I don't believe we have. And I'm not downing our culture. I'm just trying to shed light to a particular flaw that's occurred over the past centuries. And something that we can correct, but we have to be intentional. I think the first step is knowing that, recognizing it for what it is, and then afterwards, being intentional in creating words that actually affirm us, like affirm someone who's being pro-black. Like, yeah, we have the word pro-black, but you can't call someone, ooh, you know what? Hotep. Even whenever we do have something that is affirmative, Hotep has somehow become a pejorative. It's something to make a caricature out of someone. So even when we do have that chance, it becomes maligned. So I guess keeping that in mind as well, but being intentional about creating positive and affirming words for the behavior and actions that we do want to see out of one another. Because we've come up with plenty of ways to tell someone they're wrong. And yet we don't have that many to say they're right. It's something I think about a lot, and there's a lot of different angles I could have gone with it, but I wanted to make it as concise and hopefully relevant as possible. If it made any sense to you, I would love to know, or not. Like, let me know, please. More than anything, this video in particular, it's personal, it's deep. But I did want to get it out there, just given this whole topic and the fact that it's trending, and hear what people have to say. So if you have a comment, let me know. Share if you can. And this is just me. Peace.